Hello, everyone. I'm Alice, and I'm from Istanbul, and I'm a designer like many of you, and lately I've been thinking a lot about what it takes to move the design, the type of design that I do from digital into people's hands. About 10 years ago, I made a drastic shift in my career and moved over to the humanitarian sector, designing on some of the most humbling challenges. And what I learned during this phase of my life really completely changed how I design today. I learned real client empathy like I never knew before. After all, in a lot of these circumstances, the type of work that we were working on was changing people's lives. So it was really hard not to get behind this work. We did everything in our power to empower these organizations, the NGOs we were working with. Here you're seeing an example, not of mine, it's not my project, but it's one of my team members who are literally prototyping crop sensors in the field, and actually they soldered it in the back of a truck. That's how much we wanted these organizations to succeed. Now I'm going to open a little parenthesis. As designers, when we think about empathy, we often tend to think about it as this. It's about obsessing over the customer, right? Bringing the customer's voice into everything that we do, which we should absolutely be doing. But oftentimes where we miss the mark is that we don't think enough about the business. And when I say business, it's also the business teams that we're designing for, who will ultimately be inheriting the work. And it's really when we can bring these two things together that our work goes to places rather than on a shelf. And trust me, it's happened to me. My work has gone on a shelf plenty of times. So I want to talk about something that doesn't get celebrated enough in design. We all often talk about the shiny things that we produce, but we don't talk about the unsexy deliverables. And trust me, I'm a designer myself. I appreciate beautifully, functionally designed things, but that's not what I want to talk about today. And brace yourselves, I am actually going to talk about PowerPoint. I know it makes us cringe. So here's an example. This is a project that we did for communities in East Africa. It's an immunization project. And what was special about this was, well, never in my life would I have imagined of designing any wireframes in PowerPoint, but we did because it let our partners, the NGO experts, into the process. And to be honest, they were the experts in most cases. It wasn't really up to us. We weren't in the best position to even do design research. Our job was to empower them and write design research scripts for them. So I made this up, right? This doesn't exist. But we can coin the term here if we want to. So I think unsexy deliverables are basically not your typical shiny design deliverables coming out of Figma, Adobe, whatever. They're not business design deliverables. There's something in between that supplement your design deliverables. Here's an example from a reading project that we created for refugee camps. So here's all the campaign material, right, the sexy stuff. But actually what really made it succeed was the 18-month action plan that we created for the NGO to be able to run with it. And it made all the difference. Here's another example, well, the tracker that I just talked about, but the poster that we designed for the households. But what you're seeing, which was even more important, was the wireframes and the PowerPoint and the fact that we trained the NGO on human-centered design so they could actually run with the work once we were gone. And lastly, here's another example. This is an Android app that we designed for vulnerable communities in Indonesia to protect them from the effects of climate change. But really what pushed it over the edge was the not so pretty looking deck that we created for them to get their next round of funding so that they could scale it. So what am I saying? I guess now that I'm back to my everyday clients, I don't do humanitarian work anymore. I bring this mentality to everything that I do now. So I just think that for every sexy deliverable that I create, there's probably a lingering unsexy deliverable to be created, which can really drive impact. So when in design we think about what we design, think about it as your paper boat. How do we add as much momentum as we can to our designs so that we can propel them forward? That's what I mean when I say unsexy deliverables. So I guess when you think about your design process, and we always say, you know, we're collaborative. Of course we are. But can we actually be even more collaborative by being a bit more scrappy and co-owning the process with people who are non-designers like the NGOs, like your clients? So I guess when I create anything these days, the three things that I think about is, can I hand it over to someone where they can add to it, edit it? If I was to hand it to them tomorrow, would they be able to run with it? Do they have the skills and knowledge to do so? And have you equipped them with it? And lastly, if they were to launch even a small part of it tomorrow, would they be able to do do that. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from a dear friend who I think captures this perfectly. Design is equal part craft and equal part thoughtfulness. And it's when we focus on those small things that we actually have design go to places. Thank you.